This video may contain spoilers. You have been warned. With a show as mysterious as Westworld, rules have to be made to ensure the integrity of the plot. Here are some Westworld strict rules the cast had to follow. But there's more. House of the Dragon has been renewed. The Vow Part 2 gets another season as well, and much more. Ready, set, go. First up, Westworld strict rules the cast had to follow. The fan theories for Westworld started long before the show ever made its debut, or the creators were even able to drop a teaser. And these very first theories came from a rather unexpected corner. Series regulars Jeffrey Wright, Shannon Woodward, Evan Rachel Wood, and Jimmy Simpson were just as much in the dark about what was going on in their own show as we were once it was released in 2016. Creators Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan refrained from sharing any details with their cast right until the shooting scripts were being doled out. So to theorize together, the cast started a group chat. But the trouble started when the show started rolling out its first 10-week run, and fans quickly not only joined forces to try and make sense of Westworld, but also started asking questions about the plot, which they couldn't answer, of course. But when the fears of being found out started to run too high, they had to sit down and talked about how best to protect the secrets of Westworld. For example, Bernard was called a computer programmer instead of a man. In the end, the cast had some guidelines on how to approach difficult questions, where an emphasis was put on not being misleading and no lies. The cast promised to just appreciate the effort put into fan theories, without giving away anything, and just to get through it. All they wanted was to make sure fans were not spoiled, and the mystery remained intact right until the plot came together. Next, why is HBO removing so much of its catalog? Streaming services have been producing original content since 2010, and in the decade that followed, they developed the perception that the content was reliable and easy to access. But on August 2nd, Warner Brothers already warned us when they decided not to release Batgirl on HBO Max nor in theaters. Filming had been wrapped, with only test screenings left to be done, which in those seemed to be going well. According to Deadline, Variety subsequently reported that Batgirl was too small for a theater release to make sense, and not big enough to make an impact on the torrent of content online. After that, things started to fall apart quickly. Scoob Holiday Haunt got removed, and the Not Too Late with Elmo's show was completely scrapped from HBO Max as well, reported the New York Times. Batman Caped Crusader was also cut from the slate, and a huge amount of the HBO catalog of animated shows was removed, apparently without giving a heads up to the creators of said shows. In total, 68 shows have disappeared, including 37 originals. The reason appears to be all about money. Warner Brothers has been hit by a bloodbath of payoffs that HBO Max didn't escape, and removing part of its catalog is a way to cut costs by not having to pay creator residuals. Streaming threw a wrench in theatrical releases, but it seems like things are changing again. It looks very much like HBO Max is considering a comeback. What do you think? And now, House of the Dragon has been renewed after 20 million watched the pilot episode. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spin-off prequel, has finally started its very first season, and HBO has been so pleased with the results that the pilot has yielded that they have already renewed House of the Dragon for a second season. According to Nielsen and first-party data collected by HBO itself, the first episode of House of the Dragon has been watched by 20 million people already. The show has accumulated almost 10 million views across linear and HBO Max platforms during the night of its release alone. That means House of the Dragon had the largest audience of any new original series in HBO's history. Initially, HBO ordered 10 episodes of House of the Dragon. Its success being closely watched, as many have come to see House of the Dragon as the barometer for HBO's success in the streaming wars. If you ask the EVP of HBO's programming, Francesca Orsi, it's all but settled. We are beyond proud of what the entire House of the Dragon team has accomplished with Season 1, she said. The first season of House of the Dragon will come to an end on the 23rd of October. Will you be there too? Hold up, we've got more to cover. Next up, we're talking The Vow Part 2, which has gotten a release date and a new trailer. HBO has gotten the rights to Master of Light, and House Party hasn't been canceled. It's just moving locations. Want to know where to go if you want to see it ASAP? Make sure to stick around until the end of the video, and we've got you covered. Now, let's get moving. First, The Vow Part 2 gets a release date, and a trailer has been released. The HBO docuseries The Vow, from filmmakers Jahani Najim and Kareem Amir, is coming back for a second installment on the 17th of October 2022. The Vow Part 2 is a continuation of the original series and will consist of 6 parts. New episodes are to be released on the Mondays after the initial release. The Vow follows the story of the NXIVM organization, with the second season having been set against the backdrop of the federal trial against Keith Raniere. The docuseries will give viewers a look into Raniere's innermost circle, including the NXIVM co-founder Nancy Salzman. Salzman wasn't interviewed for The Vow, but she is a part of the second installment, The Vow Part 2. The logline of the show reads that the docuseries will chronicle the legal and emotional journeys of the group's founders, defectors, and supporters, as new evidence finds its way into the light, in a case that's at the forefront of the national spotlight. In October of 2020, Raniere was sentenced to 120 years of imprisonment after having been convicted in June of 2019. His crimes included a range of racketeering to forced labor and a whole lot of other absolutely horrible things. Production for The Vow Part 2 has been underway since 2020. Around the same time, rumors of another round of The Vow were already circulating. Following, HBO has acquired the rights to Masters of Light. Even though a lot has been scrapped from HBO's catalog, there is still some light to be found in the darkness. HBO Documentary Films has acquired the worldwide TV and streaming rights to Master of Light, the film about artist George Anthony Morton that won a South by Southwest award, and his exceptional talent, which he honed while serving a prison sentence. Rosa Ruth Boasted, a filmmaker and first-time director, learned about Morton through a friend who had met him in New York and told her about his story. An article about Morton had just come out, and Boaston was simply blown away by his beautiful artwork. So she decided to reach out, and that's where it all started for Boaston. Morton is a classical painter who spent 10 years of his life in federal prison because he got caught dealing drugs. But instead of letting his circumstances drag him even further down the drain, Morton decided to use the time he's incarcerated to nurture his unique artistic ability and craft. And from the moment he gets out, he does everything in his power to defy society's unlevel playing field and tackle the white-dominant art world, which leads him down the road back to his hometown of Arkansas, where he'll try to heal the broken relationship with his mother and to paint his family in the style of the Dutch Old Masters. HBO hasn't given a release date for Master of Light yet, but we're excited to see this movie. Next up, House Party hasn't been canceled, it's just moving locations. Initially, New Line Cinema's House Party was supposed to be released on HBO Max, but it seems like minds have been changed. Deadline has reported that the LeBron James Maverick Carter-produced Not a Reboot will instead be released in theaters on the 9th of December 2022. House Party is coming back more than 30 years after the original film was released, and had writers of the hit FX series Atlance attached to it. This time around, the screenplay was written by Jamal Allori and Stephen Glover, and has stars like Jacob Lattimore, Tosin Kola, and Karen Abalong. House Party is expected to become a cultural phenomenon for a whole generation, and James has been very excited about the project since the beginning. This is definitely not a reboot, it's an entirely new look for a classic movie. James said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter back in 2018, "We'd say that's actually great news. Are you going to theaters to watch House Party as well? Then that's all we have for now. Are you any good at coming up with fan theories? Did you manage to unravel Westworld's maze? Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, and thanks for watching."